I always like to start off the accent where you were sort of born and raised so that people around the world can sort of put a sort of an identity to where you came from.
Well, I'm originally from East Coast, Philadelphia.
Okay.
Born and raised in Philadelphia. I live outside, I live right between New York City and Philadelphia now. And I'm pretty much bi-coastal. I go back and forth to LA a lot. But for most of it, I'm in Pennsylvania and raised in Philadelphia.
Yeah. So for most of us who are not sort of born or raised in America, I think Will Smith and the Fresh Prince kind of put Philadelphia on the map for us internationally. I'm sure. I
Yes,
mean that Philly has been popular for a long time, but for international audience, everyone thinks Philadelphia. Oh, Will Smith.
yeah. In fact, I'm from the same area, West Philly.
Oh, West Philly. Oh, we could all say the Fresh Prince rap and stuff.
Yeah, where the Fresh Prince is from. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, knowing that you're part of a legendary family of singers, um, being the youngest, what was your sort of musical inspiration growing up?
I was a 60s and 70s child, all through the 70s, high school and um, middle school, and 60s. Of course, I was 3 or 4 years old in that. But I think I could say my biggest influence was the Motown sound, which still
Okay.
to this day, artists from to me are so legendary. I always flatter when people call me a legend. I'm like, well, no, a legend's like Stevie Wonder, Bucky Robinson, or Diana Ross. And those are the people that I grew up listening to and influenced my music. And of course, dance music, they call it disco and dance, but in the 70s. And then that's when I think our record became global. But we had other hits um, way before We're Family Project. It
Yeah.
had been globally. So, so I would say the influence is really all through the 60s and 70s, Motown and 70s, all kinds of artists. I'm a huge, huge fan of Stevie Wonder's. I think we're living in the day and age of a Mozart and a Beethoven and a Brahms and a Stevie Wonder. Stevie, as to me, genius. And
Yeah.
I don't take that for granted.
Yeah. I mean, you said growing up, and I guess it's interesting for us, growing up in those 60s and into the 70s. Um, we hear stories about the Jackson 5 and how they sort of maybe like the Temptations and the Supremes were more an older generation sort of identified that, and then the Jackson 5 kind of became the global sensation. For yourself, you said you were still more the Supremes and Stevie more so than the Jackson 5.
Well, of course, the Jackson 5 too. I just didn't mean to leave them out. They're a cornerstone of all of us growing up. I'm very much was very much the same age as Michael, and so I and then when the sisters, when we toured, we did get a chance to tour with the brothers
Are you
eventually.
serious?
Yeah, we'll talk about that, but
Okay, yeah,
definitely got a chance to share the stage with Jacksons and Michael and his brothers, and it was a growing. I mean, I think we all are still growing in a growing stage of our lives, no matter what. When we
yeah,
stop growing, when we stop. But
yeah,
at that period, it was definitely a growing period for me musically. And um, my artistry. I got a chance to, the huge blessing for me was to be able to protege with a lot of huge stars in that era, like the Spinners or work with the Jacksons or, oh my gosh, everybody really in all different kinds and genres of music. And I got a chance to learn firsthand and experience what it was like to evolve as an artist. Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I'm a massive Michael fan, and hearing his story about how being put in a spotlight at such a young age sort of took away childhood, and he couldn't have the normal life. For yourself, being the youngest of your sisters and having to be, sort of in a group, how much did that impact on your sort of childhood and what you probably might have enjoyed doing?
A huge impact. I mean, there were lots of sacrifices. We couldn't have normalcy, like, after school activities. No, you know, we
Wow.
had to be always in the same town, even when we did go to higher education, university, it always had to be in the same town we lived in. I didn't get a chance to experience the whole HBCU situation or experience or going away to college period, but I did, of course, go to Temple University here in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. We all did. But I think that the sacrifices in the younger days was more not being able to go to be involved with school activities, to you did cut out a huge amount of your social life. I feel like now in retrospect, I married very young, like at 20, you know, and but because I really felt like I had seen the world, you know. But I think more than anything, the biggest sacrifice, honestly, is that you do have to have a dual life. I did. I know I always, I reference myself to a real life Hannah Montana because
Oh,
I don't know if you guys had that.
yeah, the Miley Cyrus, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and when I saw it, I was like, wow, it's like somebody saw me. Like, I actually would do these huge superstar concerts overseas at the age of 13 in your country, in England. We had a hit record called Mama Never Told Me. And that record had gone to number one there, or your top 10. And I was 13 years old, and I would
Wow.
travel overseas and I'd do these massive concerts. And then I'd come home and I'd get on the bus and I'd go to school.
Wow.
I never talked about it really. I was your friends, what do you in middle school? Like, what did you do this weekend? I went to the mall. I went to the movie. I went to London. I had a huge concert with my sisters. I just eventually it just came off like I was bragging
Ah.
or lying. Get these looks like, yeah, right, you really went to London. And so what I learned early was, I started saying I had to work. And that seemed to work. And I'd go, oh, I had to work. And that
Okay.
was okay. And what it did for me is it gave me a balance that, yes, this is your work and this is your life and your life comes first. So it gave me an immeasurable balance of how to really navigate this whole show business thing, if we want to call it that, that your life has to come first. And don't ever really get too overboard with the spotlight part of it. It's a part of it. It's concomitant to having a career that you're going to be recognized and you're going to be in the spotlight and blah blah blah. But you got when you come down off of that, come
Yeah.
off.
Wow. I mean, was it fun though, as a young? Because I think most of us would think as kids like, oh, I love to be on TV and I love to do this. Um, but it's a very different thing when you're living in in what I would assume a controlled bubble, having to be, people telling you what to do, where to go, and stuff. But when you reflect back, was it fun or was it hard? And
I think I literally grew up on stage. I mean, really. Some people come up to me and they go, "Oh, I grew up listening to you," and I was like, I was kind of growing up too. While you were growing up, I was growing up. Except I was singing. Um, but no, I get that a lot. And um, I remember meeting Madonna once. She said, I grew up listening to you. And I was like, I'm a little bit younger than you. But I laughed and I said, honestly, everybody did. Everybody has. And that's a huge compliment. But I think, yeah, it was hard work, but you have to love it. And that's the advice that I give with anything that we do.
Yeah.
We love what we do. It's not really work, but it is hard work. And my work ethics, I've been told, I have very strong work ethics. Growing up, I knew what we had to do and what I had to do in order to be able to perform. First and foremost, it was make sure that all of our curriculum and our grades in school stayed at a very good place. And our mother used to tell us if that starts faltering, if you ever, if you start falling back with your studies, then you can't do this. And we
Wow.
wanted to Oops, that's my dog right there.
It's fine.
Sorry,
That's fine.
that's Gilly.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah, we're all used to animals now.
Yeah, that's it's fine.
They're part of it. So it's like
Yeah.
you have to have a dog or a cat or something.
Yeah. Or goldfish or the fish.
Hold on, this Gilligan, stop. Sorry.
It's fine. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the Halftime Chat community. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. But most importantly, why don't you consider being a member? That's a way of supporting the channel, but also getting a lot of videos ahead of time, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and some exclusive content that doesn't get shared. But anyway, thanks for watching and thanks for being part of Halftime Chat. Sweet.